My name is Sylvester Bowie. I'm coat of arm of the college. You'll see the flame and the cross and the book. And what more fitting design for a college. And as the founding principal, Dr. Simon Clark would say, service, commitment, excellence, service, commitment, excellence, service, commitment, excellence. Those are words that are ingrained in every Sam Sharpe student, but especially those of us that attended in the early years. I attended Sam Sharpe 1978 to 1981. My group, the 78 batch, we were the first group after the pioneers graduated. So the pioneers came 1975 and graduated 1978. And the group that I belong to, we started 1978 and graduated in 1981. Here is a piece of history to add to this historical record or story being told. Congratulations, all pioneers, the graduating class of 1975. From the Board of Governors, the principal, and the staff of Sam Sharpe Teachers College. And this is a keepsake that should bring back a lot of memories to some of the people who were in that pioneering group, most of whom are still alive, some of whom have passed on. We salute you for this memory. Down memory lane. This is the student council, and let's see who I can make out here. There's Hewitt Johnson. There is Constant Lamont. There is Glenn Shuttlesworth. There is my batchmate Carlton Grant. My batchmate Beverly, no, not Beverly, Cook. Oh, that's terrible. Please forgive me. Penny Cook. Became a lawyer and a judge, and they were members of the Students' Council. Again, going down memory lane. And my class, the class of 78, and here are calling names without showing pictures. So here are the H's, and I call all those names. I'll have to repeat myself. Wow, I was calling names and not showing pictures. So I'm going to run this quickly again. Front, Sharpe, Clark, Wallace, Bruce, Smith, Ricketts, Anthony, Hines, Edwards, Gillis. Second row, Gray, Bishop, Williams, Pennycook, Morris, Bennett, Oldacre, Jones, Nish, and Smart. And then the back row, Vassell, Gooden, Keith, Hogman, Henry, my roommate, J. Adams, Scarlett, Murdoch, Cameron, Duncan, Malcolm, and Mr. Neville Cunningham. I do apologize for the picture wasn't showing. And then, of course, with the K's, Fuda Stewart in the front, Daly, Bullock, Medley, Heron, Wood, Shaw, Scott Smith. In the middle, Tomlinson, Duncan, McInnes, Cook, Edward, Wilson, Jennings, Hall, Aldro, Peter King, and the back row, V. Grant, Mr. Dennis Gorin, O'Connor, Cameron, Nelson, Clive Nelson, Moore, Blair, Wright, Vickers, Selvin Rose, and Barrett. And go back to the L's and do us again because I missed having the picture up there the first time. Please bear with me. Juliet Beckford, Hemmings, Finlayter, McLaughlin, Swaby, Dunkley, Noble, Hanson, Cameron in the second row, Blake, Parson, Gordon, Olive Gordon, Merlene Mendez, Winsome Graham, Wilson, Young, Morris, Dewey Morris, and Alan Dawes. And then the back row, yours truly, Sylvester G. Bowie, Leon Spen, Dottie Vidal, Paulette Cookson, Carl Letman, D. Reed Barrett, Annie Thompson, and Wong. And of course, that takes. Here we have in the front row Scott Dennis Easington, Lewis Hill Campbell Samuels, McKinley, William Duhaney, Gilpin, Patrick White. In the second row, Mr. Peter Simpson, my friend in Boston. Mr. Beckford in Florida. Bailey Jackson Reed, Derek Collymore, Sutherland, Walters, Morrison, Stedman, Green, Brown. And in the back row, Jones, that would be Alonzo, Noreen Thompson, Daniel Fisher, Clark, Allen, Mitchell, Watt, O'Connor, and Henry. Those are the M's. Those are my batchmates. 19, the class of 78, graduated. A little history from Sam Sharpe Teachers College. The groups 1975 to 1979, graduated 1978 through 1982. The investigating the environment, a winning science exhibition from 1980. Yours truly was involved in this one. And this is the winning team from I think this would be the group after us. This is the 1979 group. I see some of my juniors here. I can recognize some, including people that have passed. And I will not call any name to embarrass myself, but I know this brother has passed. I know this brother is now into music. Hey, I think this man is in the Bahamas. And this is an instructor. And let's see who else I know here. I not calling him. I think he's in. Is it the Bahamas? Might be. And I'll leave it at that. Everton, you're the man. And sports report from J. Archard and Harris. And this is the sport committee. And let's see who we recognize here. Johnson, Miss Archard, the PE tutor. She left before I got there. These guys are my senior. Then there's Parkinson. There's Althea Spence. Hey, Coach Harris. And Mr. Bell himself, Mr. Bello. That was the sports committee from the class of 77. and we have individual photos of the class of 78, my class. I will not call names here. I will just identify a few people that, as a matter of personal privilege, Mr. Hector Bishop. You know what? I'm just going to call everybody's name, starting at the top with Beverly Allen, Beverly T. Allen, the next one. So the first one is Beverly E. Allen and then Beverly T. Allen. Diana Allen, I think Diana is now in Canada. That's what I've heard. Etta Aljo, Helen Bailey, Elma Barnett, Leroy Barrett, Ursula Barrett, Shirley Bernard, hey Shirley, Paulette Bernard, Groupie, Yvette Bennett, and of course Mr. Maxwell Beckford, the man with the green jacket out of Islington, St. Mary, the off spinner who never made a team but knew that if he was on, the team would have done better because they could have done with his spin. He once made a cricket team in St. Mary, but there were only 10 men living in the community. Gloria Bolt, New York. Renford Blake, Sylvester Bowie, you're truly California. Dr. Gretel Bradford in Maryland. Donna Brumfield, Faye Brown, Mabel Bruce, Reverend Mabel Bruce, Melrose Cameron, done an awesome job as an educator. Leslie Cameron, Hyacinth, Mr. Errol Bullock, and Colin Campbell, recently retired as principal. Jennifer Campbell, Hilton Clark, Bev Cook, Neville Cunningham, recently retired as principal, Pearl Crooks. Derek Collimore still producing magnificent art. Paulette Crookson. I don't remember if Paulette is retired. Wouldn't be. I know Alan Dawes is retired. As is Vivian Douglas, Merle Duncan, Cynthia Edward, Paulette East, Dennis Easington. Where are you, my brother? We haven't seen you. Lily Mae Edwards, Marcia Finlayson, Dolores Fisher, Erica Gale, Dennis Gorin, Olive Gordon, Rena Gilpin, Beverly Gillis, and then we have Winsome Graham, Mr. Carlton Grant of New York, Mr. Grantley Green, just recently retired from the insurance industry, Mr. Ralston Gray, retired, Ennis Hansen, Faye Hemmings, Carl Hill, Murdell Heron, Mr. Keith Henry in Florida, still teaching, Juliet Henry, Lilith Hines, Yvette Irvin, Elaine Jackson, Lorna Jackson, recently retired, I think, vice principal of William Nibbs. These are all my batchmates. Some of them I still see. Mr. Johnson, Ronald Johnson, where are you? Haven't seen you. Heard you're in Canada. Alonzo Jones, I think, retired. Lily James, recently retired. Paulette Jones. Wilbert McFarlane, may his soul rest in peace. He was at Cornwall College. Passed. Jennifer Malcolm, Florida. Katie Lingo Wilson, retired in Florida, back at it. Eileen Lewis, Noreen McInnes Green, Florida. Barbara McKinley, Sharon McLaughlin, I think in Florida. Patricia Medley, Dwayne Morris, where in the world are you? Sandra Moore, Vinette Moore, Merlene Mendez, good work. I think you're retired. Let me not retire anybody, so let me stop. Sharon Morris, Cicely Morris, Leslie Murdoch, I know he's retired. Lorna Miles, Lonnie O'Connor, Beverly O'Connor, Clive Nelson, I know he's retired but working again. Marcia McNish, Perletta Oldacre, Sonia Otti, Cleveland Parker, Montego Bay, Dorothy Parsons, Susie Q. I think I hear Susie Q is retired. The Penny Cook, let me not cast retirement on you. I think she's retired as a judge, but back at it. And Cat, like the great cricket coach, Grantley Reid, Herminia Ricketts, Selvin Rose, I think is retired, but back at it doing some stuff. Joan Segree, Noel Scott, Merlene Samuels, Henroy Quiet Samuels, Dr. Samuels, ministering. I'm not retiring him. Valerie Scott, Everton Sharpe, Sharon Shaw, Peter Simpson, still working in Boston. Douglas Smith, Jennifer Wright, Jennifer Smart, Hope Smith, Les Maud Smith, Wilton South, Mr. Banker, Leon Spence retired, Errol Stewart still breaking record at the high school he's now principal at. Merton Sutherland, Errol Tomlinson, Norma Thompson, Annie Thompson, I think retired. Florence Thomas, Denzel Vassell, Heather Vickers, Dorothy Vidal, Faye Wallace, Veronica White, Muriel Watt, Mevan Walters, New York, Olivine Wallace. I was running through that list without showing some of these folks. Including people like Wilton South and Leon Spence. And I know I call him Leon Spinks, but Leon Spence, like Fuda, Errol Stewart. Then we have Murdell Whitaker, Jennifer Williams Dehaney, Merlene Williams, Vivian Williams, Marcia Wright, Andrea Wood, Erica Wilson, Annette Wilson, Winsome Henry, Jacinth Scarlett, Jacinth Buddle, Florida, Julia Clark. Marcia Wright, yes, I mentioned Marcia. And then we had the sports team from the batch of 78, like cricket team. We can see out front Greybeard, Fuda, and Mr. Letman himself. Now, not all the people in here. There is one person who's not from our batch right here. That would have been a second year player, but that was, I think, well, I see Bello in this picture also. But most of the people on this team were from my batch, except for one second year beside coach, whose name I'm not remembering right at this minute. And then the football team, again, you'll see Bello in the mids. And of course, the netball team, these were all people from the class of 78 on that netball team. Then the next group is to find a name. Let's see how smart you are. You could pause this video and search for a name. You have people in here like Joy Mighty, Blossom Stokes, and Cecile Walden. You have Wesley Green, Carmen Sargent, Alice Rod, Gloria Roach. That's a name I had forgotten earlier on, as well as Redway, Miss Redway. But these are some of the names that you can find in here. So you could pause, take a screenshot, and see how many names you could actually find on your own. Document as we move forward, and this includes the principal report, and this I'm trying to see which year this was. You know, there's a lot of talk about CXC and what the college has done the last 2 years, and our new institution has just completed 6 years of work. Okay, so this was 1981, the year I graduated. And to date, just another 600 students have graduated as trained teachers. Graduates of the college can now be found working in all types of school in every part of the island. Many have gone to university abroad. This year, a number are entering University of the West Indies at Mona. Some have left the profession and are working in other fields. I sincerely hope that whatever our graduates are doing, that they're working with a sense of service and commitment and are always striving for excellence. There we go again. Service, commitment, excellence. The principal talks about the fact that the last 2 years at the college were not easy ones. We had to grapple with severe economic pressure. We were, however, able to weather the storm by introducing a number of self-help projects. For one whole term this year, the college provided all the chicken meat that was consumed, and we have now gone into egg production with 1,000 layers. The average production is about 700 eggs per day. During this period, the small dairy project produced about half the daily milk requirement for breakfast. We're particularly thankful to all the students who work so cheerfully on the different projects. Special mention must be made of those who work on the weekend in the kitchen and on the blocks. I think it is significant to note that all the domestic chores were done by students on the weekend for the entire year, and although this did create difficulty sometimes, especially near to examination, the majority did make the effort. So that the report in 1981, I was on internship then, and my juniors, the class of 79, that including people like Gillian's, Hugh Solomon, and some of these folks who like really did human work to ensure that the college held up even as we faced tough economic times. And if we're not remembering, this was 1980 was the election year when there was a lot of food shortages. Things were being married. In order to get simple items, you had to buy other items that were of no use to you. So those were tough times, but as the principal indicated, we survived. There is also a message from the chairman, and I want to read a little part of this. Your request for a message for your magazine is to me another opportunity of expressing my joy of association with the institution that is brought to influence significant total life in Jamaica in general, but Western Jamaica in particular. This is already the experience of those of us who are in close touch with the school around. It is, however, on the graduates that we must depend for the fulfillment of the high aims and the aspiration we cherish. Addressing myself to them directly, I offer congratulations on graduation and sincere wish for a fruitful career, conscious of the tremendous effort they will have to make against the background of indiscipline in our society at large. Wesley A.F. Hewlin, JP, Chairman of the Board. And here, and we can see from in the back row, we have Miss Joy Mighty, Mrs. Davison, Miss Roach, Mrs. Cook, Mr. Mosquito, Miss Hyman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Plummer, Miss Jones, Miss Whelan, Mr. Crick, Miss Jackson, Miss Rod. Then in the front row, Mr. Dyer, Reverend Green, Mr. Lowe, Miss Gentles, Mr. Hewlin, the chairman of the board, Mrs. Redway, Mr. Clark, principal, Mrs. Walden, vice principal, Miss Stevenson, and Mr. Peterkin. That was the academic staff in 1981, my year of graduation. The administrative staff included Miss Buck, Ms. Allen, Mr. Samuel DeBurso, Miss McLeod, and Miss Richards, the administrative staff. And auxiliary staff included the housekeeping supervisor, Miss McLeod, and the people below in the back row, Miss Dryden, Monica Dryden, Miss Myrtle Allen, Mr. White, Mr. Ellis. I think a lot of people remember Mr. Ellis. Mr. Messon, Mr. Thompson, McLeod, and then at the front seated, Miss Campbell, Miss O'Connor, Miss Hewlett, and Miss Bryan. All these people were there when I attended, and I certainly have fond memories of all of these people. They made my life much better. And here is the beloved, the Reverend Billy Cook, the first music instructor at Sam Sharpe Teachers College, and he was certainly there when here's a little quiz for those who want to go down memory lane. It's Guess Who, and for those from the early years can recognize the gap tooth, or I should say the gap between the teeth, and recognize that is, did you take your guess? Yes, it is Alice J. Rod. And it's from 1979. People in the audience, we also had residents at PEMCO, so this was the Granville group, and PEMCO group. So we had PEMCO and Rectory, and we had Granville. So I read this valedictory address by Gillian Francis. My Lord Bishop, Honorable President of the Senate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, we have come to the end of an exhausting but profitable period in which we, the graduates, have gained valuable experiences. We deemed it a privilege to have learned, taught, and shared with the faculty of such a prestigious institution as Sam Sharpe Teachers College, as well as with each other. It has been a period of self-searching and self-denials. There we got away from selfishness and self-indulgence. On behalf of the graduating class, I'd like to thank the staff of Sam Sharpe Teachers College and the various schools in which we practice for helping us to realize our ambition. We assure you that we have benefited from your tuition. We have experienced changes of character, shaping and uplifting of morals, and our sense of values have been upgraded. You see, because of you, what you stood for, life has taken us on a new perspective. We can now join the professionals. Quote, with the help of God, end quote, you have led us from feeding on milk to feeding on meat. Quote, we are no longer babes, and we will feed our young, stimulating their growth to make them fine citizens. You have fit us to live, and we are fit to live with. We appreciate you. Oh, we have had our differences, but those only serve to make campus life more exciting and challenging. Challenges were thrown at us, left, right, and center. You helped us to meet them, and now, with the help of God the Father, we will help our young to face the challenges of life. A vast community lies before us. Our services are in demand. We're honored. Out there, the challenges are numerous, but we're not fearful. We will rise to them. We promise that we'll aspire for nothing less than excellence. God help us in devoting our lives to the service of our fellow men. Fellow graduates, remember the times when the going got rough and we felt that the only solution was to give up and to make a right about turn. But God was with us. What questions are we asking now? Let every man examine himself. The road was long and sometimes winding. There were times when we lost sight of our destination. The heartaches, the sleepless nights. It was worth it, wasn't it? Now we're strong enough to carry our children, every child's welfare in our concern. He isn't heavy. He's our brother. Remember, we are laborers together with God. The worker must receive the reward of his labor. We think of Sam Sharpe, the hero. He was a dynamic man and is held in esteem by our nation. He stood out against injustice. He fought for freedom. He encountered difficulties, but he never gave up until death. The cause was worthy. Our cause is worthy. To Sam Sharpe, we have an obligation. We must continue to fight. For freedom, let us free our people from the shackles of illiteracy, and freedom will be appreciated. To this end, we are fully committed. Daddy Sharpe persevered, we will too. Quote, being confident of this very thing, that he who hath begun a work in us, in you, will continue it until the day of Jesus Christ. Under God's guidance, we will continue in service, live up to our commitment, and strive always for excellence. Gillian Francis, the class of 77. And I say, in closing out this brief road of history pertaining to Sam Sharpe Teachers College, the pioneering group of 1975 through the group of 1979, that we who graduated from this institution, we will continue to live by the words of the founding principle, the words found on the shield, the coat of arms of the college. These words: service, commitment, excellence, service, commitment, excellence, service, commitment, excellence. I thank you and hope you enjoyed this brief journey down memory lane.